So happy to look into your eyes this morning and welcome you to this beautiful day and every day, which is where it's at, according to Denise. And since it's Denise, we just go with it. So my talk title today is Thanksgiving. And it may seem like an odd time to talk about Thanksgiving, but I'm not talking about Thanksgiving. I'm talking about Thanksgiving. When we were driving here this morning and I was setting up my cell phone to be used so that the people on Facebook, morning, Zoomies, so the people on Facebook could experience and participate in our service this morning. So, of course, the first thing that comes up is my own page, and the very first message is from a dear friend of ours in England. And when Carol posts something, I always read it because it's always relevant somehow. And this morning, what she said in her post was that although we know and are very aware of all of the things that are going on in the world that are challenging, that are painful, that are difficult, that are hardships for many, sometimes have to pay attention when there's evidence of how extraordinary life is and how that life pushes up, pushes through whatever else appears to be in the way to bring its love and bring its healing and bring its comfort and bring its clarity to all that is happening at the human level. And what she was referring to now, Carol is a master gardener. And England, I want to tell you, is a place to grow flowers because her dahlias are the size of dinner plates. They're huge. Anyway, they are experiencing their 5th summer heat wave, which is very unusual where they are in England. And there's been a drought all season. And so what she was bringing to everyone's attention, what she was inviting everyone to share with her, was that despite of the drought and despite the heat waves, these extraordinary and beautiful plants, these amaranths, are coming up through the cement. And even though they're moving the cement around, she is leaving them be because of their beauty and because of the reminder that they are, that nothing can get in the way of the divine nature, of good, of beauty, of truth, of love. And even though it looks like there's a lot in the way, and even though it may look like no help is coming and it may look like all of those things. Those are all human references to that are based on what we expect life to look like if there's help on the way. We aren't necessarily looking at a plant growing through cement and saying, oh, that's evidence of help on the way. But it is. And so Thanksgiving is about looking for that evidence, about staying aware of the little things and the big things that show up that are evidence that and reminders that this presence, this life, this one that is, it hasn't gone on vacation. It hasn't taken any kind of a break. It is always everywhere present and on the job. We're the ones who get confused about what that job looks like. Because the job to us looks like we're running in and fixing something. And we don't really know what's happening above the scenes and below the scenes and behind the scenes where life works. What we can trust is that life is at work. So in looking for the evidence, in keeping for the evidence of life unexpectedly delighting us with something extraordinary, I'll give you another example. I'm not going to go into all the detail, but there was someone that I really needed to connect with. It wasn't a desperate thing. It wasn't that kind of a thing, but I really needed to connect with this person. And last Tuesday, I participated in and was part of the planning team for an amazing retreat that was organized and offered by the Interfaith Leadership Alliance. And I was in the kitchen where we had offered the retreat. This is after the retreat was all over, and I was doing some cleanup and some packing up. And the person that I needed to reach, who I had no way of reaching because I had no idea of how, I had no contact information, nothing. She walked into the kitchen. That's what I said. Whoever said, wow, that's what I said. And actually I think I said, oh my God. I have been thinking about you and wondering how I was going to reach you, and you appear. And so we had the conversation that we needed to have, but that's, to me, that's evidence that what I am intentional about, what we are intentional about, we see evidence in response to that intentionality. We witness evidence that we've been heard. Now that evidence may not be exactly what or the way we had in mind. Mm-hmm. Kevin was so convinced he had to get a new car because, bless his vehicle's heart, it had really given its all. And now he tells us he doesn't need a new car. He got it fixed and it's great. Those seem like such small things. But you know, when we're facing the idea that, you know, how am I going to reach this person? How am I going to reach this person? Who do I know that I can contact who can tell me how to reach this person? I mean, don't we go through that? How am I going to fix this thing? How am I going to, or get this thing fixed? Or can it be fixed? Or do I need to replace it? All of those questions and the loveliness of Kathy's song, not to mention their presentation of it. Mm-hmm. Could we give them a little everyday love? Reminds us that there are reminders. There are always reminders. There are kindnesses. There are moments where you're in traffic and then all of a sudden you're not. There are moments where we're feeling confused and then when we get quiet and we allow ourselves to look past the confusion. And one of my favorite questions to ask myself is, and I'm happy to share it with all of you, is what if I did know? When I think I don't know something, what if I did know? What if I did know how to make this happen? Or what if I did know how to, Deanna Joy, my God, how to start this project that has resulted in your house being completely decluttered. I mean, you and I had conversations, it's over by your left foot. You and I had conversations not that long ago where you were feeling so oppressed by the state of your home. And here today, you are announcing with great joy that your house is decluttered. Yay! So I like to point out, you know, once we have the answer to something, once the person that we need to reach walks into the room, once the decluttering is, as far as I'm concerned, complete, because the other piece that you need help with isn't about decluttering your house. It's about getting the help. Do we go back and look at the feelings we had before the person walked into the room? No. Do we go back and look at the feelings we had when we were so convinced, when Kevin was so convinced he had to buy a new car? No. We live in the joy, in the gratitude, in the relief of having that resolved. Mm-hmm. We don't go back. It's not because we are ignoring something important. It's because we just don't. Once something is resolved, once we're satisfied with a result, once we know something is being handled, once we have the answer to whatever it is, we do not go back and say, okay, well, I remember not having the answer. What was that about? We don't do that. And it's not because we're missing an understanding. It's not because that there's part of the process that we're missing out on. We have accepted, and I will say with gratitude, conscious or unconscious, we have accepted the resolution.
Mm-hmm.
Because, wow, Laura has been up to here with restoring her house to wholeness for months.
6.
7? 6? 6 months.
Ongoing.
After pipes broke and there were floods and there was famine and there were locusts and it was terrible.
The locust ate everything in my refrigerator, by the way.
The locusts ate everything in your refrigerator?
Since you mentioned them.
Uh-huh. Lovely. But now, she's living at home again because she wasn't able to for a very long time. She's living at home again. She's home with her kitties, which is very important to them as well as her. And her house is back to normal.
No, not yet.
Almost.
Not yet. Not yet. I'll tell you when.
Okay. Almost. It's getting there. But there was a time when it felt like it would never. It would never be livable. It would, maybe she'd have to take it to the ground and start over. There was a time of overwhelm, maybe more than one, and hopelessness. But where does it go? Where does that go?
It's a mystery.
It's a mystery. I'll tell you where it goes. Aren't you excited to know finally where it goes? It's absorbed by gratitude. Gratitude just sucks it up. It disappears into gratitude. Because gratitude is the overwhelming feeling of thanksgiving. Deanna Joy's anticipated circumstance of being cancer-free. You know, I talk about, where am I time-wise, Denise?
You get a couple minutes.
Oh dear. I was afraid you were going to say that. Okay, I'm going to talk really fast now. I talk about mental equivalence. And I will remind you that the classic framework for a mental equivalent is seeing something already done.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I had a mental equivalent of running into the person that I needed to connect with, I would have seen that in my mind, but I had no way of seeing that in my mind that made any sense. So sometimes coming to a mental equivalent can be a real challenge. But somehow I knew in my heart, for sure, that I would connect with her when I needed to. It wasn't about my timing. All I needed to know was that I would connect with her when I needed to. And ta-da,
Twice.
there she was.
Twice.
Twice. Yes, because we also ran into her at the opera. So when we're wondering about how in the world, with quote unquote, all that's going on, can we be in thanks? Can we be in gratitude? And can we be sharing that with others? It's about the flower coming through the cement. Because the activity of life and the creativity of life and the solutions of life and the resolutions of life and the possibilities of life are unending. And our ideas are not.
Mhm.
Our ideas are limited.
Mhm.
Some of us have the tendency to have more openness in our ideas than others, but that we still can only go so far because our lovely, fabulous, brilliant brain can only imagine what it knows. And so we have to use the rest of us more purposefully, meaning making a connection between head and heart, because heart doesn't know any limit. We have to use the rest of us to get to the place where we really can create a mental equivalent and know that that is the same thing as placing an order at the restaurant. It's telling the universe what we want. And we get to do that. We have permission. We weren't allowed this morning, like we weren't allowed. Whoever it was that used the word allowed in that way, welcome to my world. I grew up with that phrasing, you're not allowed. Well, I get to tell you with great pleasure that you are not only allowed, you're invited, you're encouraged, you are called to speak your word, speak your truth, and have the life of your dreams.
Mhm.
And it isn't a Pollyanna whitewashing. It isn't a if we don't tell Spirit, God, the universe, what life, what it is that we prefer, then it's the same thing as sitting in the restaurant going, bring me whatever. And that's what we'll have. And so it is.
So it is.